Hello, friends. Ooh, I just seen such a beautiful leaf falling in my backyard. It looked like an umbrella as it was spinning down. The leaves are falling around me as I'm sitting on the back deck here. This video is in regards to a little spiritual hit that I had this morning, giving a definition and a clarification on the ego or the carnal mind in a manner that I had never heard before. And what some of you may not understand is when you receive revelation, it's not your thought and it's not your previous understanding, so it comes with a deepened understanding. And it comes in that receptive state. As you cultivate that receptive state, you allow revelation. So I'll explain it as best as I possibly can in this moment. We're going to use our senses. We'll use our senses as a comparative tool to bring clarity to what the ego is. So we're going to compare the physical, which is also the earthly or the carnal, to the spiritual. So we have our physical senses and we have our spiritual senses. Our physical, carnal senses are limited, where our spiritual senses are infinite, unlimited. When we hear with our physical ears, we can only hear a certain spectrum of frequency. Yet when we hear with our clairaudience or our psychic ears, our spirit ears, our consciousness, the ears of consciousness, we hear infinite spectrum of sound and frequency. The same is with every other sense. With our smells, we smell only a finite, limited spectrum of smells with our physical, carnal nose. But with our clairgustance, with our spirit sense of smell, our psychic smell, we have the ability to smell infinitely, the infinite spectrum, unlimited. With spiritual sight, we can only see certain things with our physical eyes. But with our clairvoyance, our spiritual eyes, our psychic eyes, our conscious sight, we can see the infinite spectrum. This is why people, when they have near-death experiences, they say, I've seen colors I've never seen before. I've heard sounds that I've never heard before. Okay? The same goes with your felt sense. You can feel things physically, earthly, carnally, in a finite manner, in a limited perspective, or you can feel them from a spiritual perspective, using your spirit felt sense, your psychic felt sense. So we've got all of these carnal expressions compared to our spirit's expressions. And now we come to the mind. And this is today's revelation that was given this morning. We have the carnal mind, the finite mind, the physical mind, the earthly mind. And then we have the spiritual mind, the divine mind, the psychic mind, also known as intuition. And the carnal mind can only perceive carnal things. Just like your carnal hand can only feel carnal things, and your nose can only smell carnal things, and your eyes can only see carnal things. The mind can only think and understand carnal things. Yet your spiritual sight can see non-physical things, infinite things. Your spiritual ears can hear non-physical, infinite things. And your spirit can know and understand, your spiritual mind, your divine mind, your very consciousness, that piece of God that is you, this divine spark, has the infinite understanding. That's the divine mind, the spiritual mind. Contrast that with the carnal mind that can only know carnal things. I use the word carnal because it's mentioned in the Bible as the carnal mind is enmity. I mean, unknowing. It does not have the ability to know spiritual things. It's not the right tool. It's like trying to validate that there's ghosts in the house with a piece of bacon. It's not the right tool for the job. Bacon has another purpose, but it's not used for finding ghosts. You know what I mean? Is that possibly the best analogy you're going to hear all day? I should have allowed Spirit to give me one instead. There's my carnal interpretation of that. So I think it gives a level of clarity that I'd never considered before. Definitely that I'd never considered before. It's a revelation to me. So I thought it might be helpful to share it with others that are maybe still trying to work out what this whole ego thing is. Because it's the obstacle to get beyond, and until we understand it at a certain level, it's almost hard to point on Spirit and rest in Spirit when we become so intoxicated with and enamored by this carnal mind and the ego that it's become almost all we know, because we give so much time and attention to it and cultivate it. We've been cultivating ego for so long that we have this big, huge expression of ego that we can't recognize anything that's no longer ego. I'll clarify. It's not that we cannot. It's that we just aren't cultivating. We aren't looking for anything other. You find what you're looking for. You find what you're looking for, and if you're cultivating ego so much of your time, you're distracting yourself away from cultivating that spiritual awareness, right? It's as simple as that. You can't look left all day and see what's happening to the right. You're giving your attention to the left. If you're cultivating leftness, you're disregarding and distracting yourself from the rightness. Hopefully that's clear. All right. I'll leave it there for now. Have an amazing, blessed day, my friend. We'll talk soon.